Felix told you came home angry that day. A terrible day at the office. Stress eating him alive. He pushed through his front door unannounced, ready to collapse into the silence that had swallowed his house for 8 months. But then he heard it. Laughter. His son's laughter. His heart stopped. James, Peter, and Daniel hadn't laughed since their mother died. Not once. He stood frozen, chasing the sound like a man who had just heard a ghost. When he opened the door to the sunroom, what he saw shattered him. The day had been brutal. Felix Toju sat through meetings in Lagos that tore him apart. A failed launch. Investors pulling out. His board questioning everything he had built. By 4 o'clock, he couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed his briefcase and left without a word. The drive home felt longer than usual. His hands gripped the wheel too tightly. His mind wouldn't stop racing. Anger sat heavy in his chest, at work, at life, at God, for taking his wife, Victoria, and leaving him with 3 sons he didn't know how to reach anymore. When he pulled into the driveway, he felt nothing, just exhaustion. He walked through the front door, loosening his tie, expecting what he always found: silence. The kind that reminded him every single day that his wife was gone, and his boys had stopped being children. But today, something was different. He heard laughter. Real, uncontrollable laughter that made his breath catch. Felix froze. His sons, James, Peter, and Daniel, laughing. They had not laughed in months. Not since Victoria died. Not since that night a drunk driver took her while she was getting medicine for them. They had become ghosts in their own home. Too scared to make noise. Too broken to remember what joy felt like. But right now, they were laughing. Felix's briefcase hit the floor. He moved through the house, following the sound, his heart pounding so hard it hurt. Down the hall toward the sunroom, the place Victoria used to love. He pushed the door open, and what he saw stopped everything. Vivian Michael, the woman his mother-in-law had hired a month ago, was on her hands and knees on the floor. His 3 sons were on her back, faces glowing with a joy he thought was gone forever. Daniel held a rope around her neck like reins. Vivian was neighing like a horse, tossing her head, laughing with them, like she had forgotten the world existed. Felix couldn't move, couldn't breathe. His sons, the ones who woke up screaming, who barely spoke, who asked every day when mommy was coming home, were playing, actually playing. And it wasn't with him. It was with her, a woman he barely knew. She had done what he couldn't, what all his money and desperation couldn't do. She had brought them back. The anger from his day melted into something else. Relief, shame, gratitude so painful it felt like his chest was caving in. Then Vivian looked up. Her eyes met his. The laughter died. Fear flashed across her face. She froze. The boys went quiet. They slid off her back and pressed close to her, like they were protecting something fragile. Felix stood in the doorway, unable to speak. His throat was too tight. His vision blurred. Vivian opened her mouth, but no words came out. Felix knew he should say something. He knew he should explain himself, or thank her, or tell her what he was feeling. But he couldn't. He just stood there, staring at the woman who had given his sons back their laughter. Finally, Felix gave a small nod. Then he turned and walked away before the tears came. He didn't understand what had just happened. He didn't know if it was okay to feel this grateful to someone who was supposed to just work for him. But one thing was clear. For the first time since Victoria died, his sons were laughing. And maybe God had sent Vivian Michael for a reason. Sometimes God places people in our lives exactly when we need them most. That night, Felix didn't sleep. He sat in his office with the lights off, staring at nothing. The image wouldn't leave his mind. Vivian on the floor, his sons laughing. That sound, God, that sound kept playing over and over until he thought he'd lose his mind. He kept asking himself the same question. How did she do it? He tried everything. After Victoria died, he read every book on childhood grief he could find. He hired the best child psychologist in Lagos. She came twice a week with her calm voice and her carefully chosen words, sitting cross-legged on the floor with James, Peter, and Daniel, trying to get them to talk about their feelings. It didn't work. He bought them new toys, thinking maybe distraction would help. He tried to follow every piece of advice the experts gave him, changing their routines, making sure they ate well, and getting them outside every day. Nothing worked. The boys just got quieter, smaller, like they were disappearing right in front of him. And then Vivian Michael showed up. Felix leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face with both hands. He didn't even remember hiring her. His mother-in-law had called him one afternoon while he was in the middle of an acquisition meeting. She said the fifth nanny had quit, something about the atmosphere being too heavy, and that she had found someone new. Felix had barely listened. He'd just said yes and gone back to his meeting. That was a month ago. Now he couldn't stop thinking about her. Who was she? Where did she come from? What made her different from everyone else, who had tried and failed to reach his sons? He pulled out his phone and opened the file his mother-in-law had sent him. Vivian's application. He'd never actually read it. 25 years old. References from a family in Benin. No university degree. A handwritten note at the bottom that said, "I understand grief. I won't run from it." Felix stared at those words for a long time. Most people in Felix's life avoided grief. He understood that now. When his friends didn't know what to say, they chose silence. When they didn't know how to help, they kept their distance. Even his closest friends stopped calling after the funeral. It was easier for them to pretend that Felix and his family were fine and had moved on. But Vivian had not run. She had walked straight into the heaviest house in the city of Lagos and somehow made it feel light again. The next morning, Felix came downstairs earlier than usual. He told himself it was because of an early overseas call, but that wasn't true. He had come down early because he wanted to see Vivian. Vivian was already in the kitchen, moving quietly, making breakfast. She didn't hear him at first. He stood in the doorway, watching. She wasn't doing anything special, just scrambling eggs, pouring orange juice. But the way she moved, calm, steady, present, it was like she belonged there. The boys came running in, still in their pajamas. Daniel saw her first and smiled. Actually smiled. "Vivian, Vivian, can we play horse again today?" Felix's chest tightened. Vivian glanced up and saw him standing there. Her smile faltered, just for a second, like she wasn't sure if she was still in trouble. "Good morning, Mr. Toju," she said quietly. "Felix," he corrected. His voice came out rougher than he meant. "Just Felix." She nodded, turning back to the stove. James tugged on her shirt. "Vivian, can we what, sweetheart?" she asked. "Play horse like yesterday." Vivian hesitated, her eyes flicking toward Felix. In Felix's mind, he wanted to tell the boys not to disturb Vivian, that she had work to do, and that playing horse was not part of her job. Instead, Felix surprised himself and spoke to his sons. "After breakfast," he said, "you can play." All three boys turned to Felix, their faces wide with surprise that he had said yes. Vivian looked at him too, clearly shocked that he wasn't angry. Vivian repeated softly, "After breakfast, we can play," smiling at the boys. "Now sit down and eat." They obeyed without argument. Felix poured himself coffee and sat at the far end of the table, watching. The boys talked to Vivian while they ate. Daniel told her about a dream he had. Peter asked if she liked elephants. James just sat close to her, like being near her was enough. And Vivian listened. Really listened. Like every word mattered. Felix realized something that made his throat tighten. She wasn't just good with them. She loved them. And they loved her back. For the first time in 8 months, Felix felt something he thought was gone forever. Hope. Felix started coming home earlier. He told himself it was because work was slowing down. That wasn't true. The truth was harder to admit. He wanted to see them. Wanted to hear his sons laugh again. Wanted to watch Vivian somehow breathe life back into a house that had felt dead for so long. Most days, he would find them in the playroom or out in the yard. Vivian would be sitting on the grass with all three boys, reading to them or helping them build something with blocks. She never made a big deal out of it. She wasn't trying to impress Felix. She just loved the boys, quietly and naturally, like it was the easiest thing in the world. Felix would watch from the upstairs window, careful not to interrupt. The house still carried his late wife, Victoria, everywhere. Her paintings hung on the walls, bright, colorful abstracts she'd worked on late at night when she couldn't sleep. Her coffee mug sat in the cabinet, unwashed, exactly where she'd left it that last morning. Her handwriting was still on the grocery list stuck to the fridge. Milk, eggs, apples. Don't forget to mix medicine. He couldn't bring himself to erase it. At night, after Vivian put the boys to bed, Felix would walk through the rooms, like he was searching for something he had lost. Sometimes he would stop at the master bedroom door, but couldn't go in. The bed was still made the way Victoria had left it. Her pillow still had the dent from her head. Her book was still on the nightstand, a bookmark halfway through. Changing anything felt like erasing her. So he slept in his office instead, on the couch, surrounded by work he didn't care about. It was almost midnight when he found Vivian in the library. He had not meant to. He had just been wandering again, unable to sleep, when he saw the soft glow of the reading lamp. Vivian was curled up in the corner of the leather couch, barefoot, a book open in her lap. She looked peaceful, like the weight of the house didn't touch her the way it touched him. Felix cleared his throat softly. Vivian looked up, not startled, just calm. Couldn't sleep either. He shook his head and stepped further into the room. For a moment, he just stood there, unsure what to do. Then he sat down across from her, not close, but not far. The silence between them felt different from the silence everywhere else in the house. It didn't press down on him. It just existed. "What are you reading?" he asked. She held up the book. "Beloved" by Toni Morrison. "Heavy reading for bedtime," he said. "Heavy thoughts need heavy books," she replied simply. Felix almost smiled. Almost. They sat in the quiet for a while. He didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to thank her for what she'd done. Didn't know how to ask her to keep doing it without sounding desperate. Finally, he spoke. "They laughed yesterday. Really laughed. I haven't heard that sound since." He couldn't finish. "Since Victoria," Vivian said softly. Hearing his wife's name out loud felt like a punch to the chest. Most people avoided saying it, like saying her name would break him. But Vivian didn't look away. "They talk about her," Vivian said. "The boys. They tell me stories." Felix's throat tightened. "What do they say?" "That she smelled like flowers. That she sang off-key in the car. That she let them eat dessert first on Tuesdays." Tears burned behind his eyes. Those were details he'd forgotten. Small things that used to make him laugh. Things that felt lost forever until now. "Thank you," he whispered, "for remembering her through them." Vivian closed her book and stood. "Good night, Felix." She left the room quietly, and he sat there alone, feeling less empty than he had in months. Maybe she wasn't just helping his sons heal. Maybe she was helping him too. 3 weeks passed. Felix found himself looking for reasons to be home. He'd finish calls early, skip dinners with investors, make excuses to his assistant about why he couldn't stay late. The truth was simple. His house didn't feel like a graveyard anymore. One evening, he came home later than usual, around 8 p.m. The boys were already asleep. The soft hum of the dishwasher filled the kitchen. Everything felt normal, calm. Then he heard it. Crying. Soft. Broken. The kind of crying someone does when they think no one's listening. Felix's chest tightened. He moved quietly toward the kitchen and stopped in the doorway. Vivian sat alone at the table, her back to him. Her shoulders shook. In her hands, she held something small, a silver locket, open, catching the light. She didn't hear him. She was too lost in whatever pain had her by the throat. Felix didn't move, didn't speak. He just watched as this woman, who had been so strong, so steady for his sons, fell apart in his kitchen. Finally, she sensed him. Her head turned. When she saw him standing there, her eyes went wide. She wiped her face quickly, trying to pull herself together. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean to. I'll just..." "Who's in the locket?" Felix asked quietly. Vivian froze. Her fingers tightened around the silver chain. For a long moment, she didn't answer. Then, so softly he almost didn't hear it, she whispered. Her name was Alice. Felix stepped into the kitchen and sat down across from her. Vivian's face crumpled. Fresh tears spilled over. "She died 2 years ago," she said. "Leukemia." She was 3 years old. The words hung in the air like smoke. Felix felt something crack open inside his chest. She was my daughter, Vivian continued, her voice shaking. My baby girl. We fought for a year. Hospitals. Treatments. Watching her get sicker. Watching her lose her hair. Watching her stop being a little girl and become someone I didn't recognize. Her hands trembled as she opened the locket wider, showing him the tiny photo inside. A little girl with gap teeth and bright eyes, holding a dandelion. My husband blamed me, Vivian said. Said I should have noticed the symptoms sooner. Should have pushed the doctors harder. Should have done something, anything, to save her. She swallowed. The marriage didn't survive it. He took everything in the divorce. All her photos. Her toys. Her clothes. This locket is all I have left. Felix's throat closed. He couldn't speak. I became a nanny because Vivian's voice broke completely. Because I don't know how to live in a world without children's laughter. It's the only thing that makes the quiet bearable. She took a breath, shaking. When I heard about your boys, about what they'd lost, I thought maybe I could help them in ways I couldn't help my own daughter. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. I know this isn't professional. I know I shouldn't. You're not just helping them heal, Felix interrupted, his own voice rough. You're healing yourself. Vivian shook her head. I don't think I'll ever heal. Maybe not, Felix said. But loving my sons, it's keeping you alive. The same way you're keeping them alive. He reached across the table and covered her hand with his. Her fingers were cold, trembling. They sat like that for a long time, neither of them moving. Two people drowning in grief, holding on to each other in the dark. Vivian broke the silence. Does it ever get easier, she whispered, living every day without someone you love? Felix didn't answer right away. He thought about Victoria, about the space she had left behind, about how every morning he still reached for her side of the bed and found it empty. Finally, he spoke. No, Felix said honestly. Losing someone you love doesn't get easier. But the pain changes. It becomes something you learn to carry, instead of something that crushes you. Vivian nodded slowly, tears still falling. She closed the locket in her hand and pressed it against her heart. Thank you, Vivian whispered, for not looking away. Felix squeezed her hand gently. Thank you, he said, for staying. And in that moment, something shifted between them. They weren't employer and employee anymore. They were two broken people who had found each other in the ruins. Maybe that was what grace looked like. Mother's Day arrived, a day Felix had learned to dread. He woke up that morning with his chest already tight. Last year, Victoria had been alive. The boys had made her cards with crayon scribbles and sticky handprints. She had cried happy tears and taped them to the fridge, where they stayed for months. This year, the fridge was empty. Felix had planned the day carefully. He would take the boys to the cemetery, say a few words at Victoria's grave, come home, and get through the rest of the day. That was all he needed to do, just survive it. But when he came downstairs, he heard voices in the playroom. He walked to the doorway and stopped. Vivian sat on the floor with James, Peter, and Daniel, surrounded by construction paper, crayons, and glue sticks. They were making cards. Felix's heart sank and swelled at the same time. She was helping them make something for Victoria. Of course she was. She understood what today meant. He stepped closer, watching quietly. Daniel held up his drawing first. A stick figure with dark skin and a big smile, surrounded by hearts in crooked crayon letters. For Vivian, you make us smile. Felix's breath caught. James's card said, I love you, Vivian, with 3 stick figures holding her hand. Peter's was messier but clearer, a woman on her hands and knees with boys on her back. They weren't making cards for their mother. They were making them for Vivian. Something twisted in Felix's chest. Not anger, something deeper. Something that felt like loss and relief all tangled together. Vivian looked up and saw Felix standing there. Her face went pale. She stood quickly, almost knocking over the glue. I didn't ask them to do this, she said, her voice shaking. I swear. I told them we should make cards for their mother, Felix finished, his voice tight. Yes. Vivian's eyes filled with tears. "But we did," Peter interrupted, holding up another card. This one had angel wings and flowers. "We miss you, Mommy." Felix felt the air leave his lungs. They hadn't forgotten Victoria. They had just made room for someone else. Daniel tugged on Felix's sleeve. "Can Vivian come with us to see Mommy?" Felix looked at Vivian. She was already shaking her head, backing away. "No, I shouldn't. That's private. That's for your family." "You are family," Daniel said simply. The words hung in the air. Felix didn't know what to say. Taking Vivian to Victoria's grave felt wrong, like crossing a line he couldn't uncross, like betraying something sacred. But his sons were looking at him with wide, hopeful eyes. And Vivian was standing there, terrified she'd ruined everything. "If she wants to come," Felix heard himself say, "she can." Vivian's eyes went wide. "Felix, are you sure?" No, he wasn't sure. But he nodded anyway. An hour later, they stood together at Victoria's grave, Felix, Vivian, and 3 little boys who didn't understand why love had to be complicated. The boys placed their angel card on the headstone. Then they stepped back, quiet. Daniel reached for Vivian's hand and pulled her forward. "Tell Mommy you're nice," he whispered. Vivian knelt at the grave, tears streaming down her face. "I hope you don't mind that I love them," she said softly. "I'm not trying to replace you. I couldn't help it." Felix stood behind her, his throat too tight to speak. James whispered to the headstone, "Mommy, Vivian makes good pancakes, and she plays with us, and she doesn't get sad when we talk about you." That last line broke something in Felix. He'd been the one getting sad, the one pulling away, the one making his sons feel like loving someone new meant forgetting their mother. Vivian stood, wiping her eyes. She met Felix's gaze, and something passed between them, understanding, forgiveness, permission to keep living. 2 months after that day at the cemetery, Felix went to a charity gala at the Lagos Club. He didn't want to go. He'd been avoiding these events since his wife died. But his mother-in-law was on the planning committee, and she had insisted. "You can't hide forever, Felix. People want to see you." So he went. The room was full of familiar faces, people who'd known Victoria, people who'd sent flowers after the funeral and then never called again. They smiled at him now, polite and distant, like he was something fragile they didn't know how to touch. William Bowler, a fellow tech CEO, approached with his wife, Jane. "Felix, good to see you out," William said, shaking his hand. "How are the boys?" "Better," Felix said. "Much better, actually." Jane smiled, but there was something sharp behind it. "Yes, I heard you found wonderful help. What's her name again?" Warning bells went off in Felix's head. "Vivian Michael," he said carefully. "And she's been quite devoted to the children, from what I hear," Jane continued, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "She's excellent at her job." Jane exchanged a look with William. "Of course, I just think it's wonderful that she's so involved. Some might say a new ally involved for household staff." Felix's jaw tightened. "I'm not sure what you're implying." "Nothing," Jane said, touching his arm. "Just that people talk. There was a photo of you all at the farmer's market last week. The boys holding her hands. You pushing the cart. It looked very domestic. We were buying groceries." "Of course," Jane said. "But you know how people are. A young woman, a widower, 3 impressionable children." She trailed off meaningfully. William cleared his throat. "What Jane means is, maybe consider the optics. For the boys' sake." Felix's voice went cold. "The boys are happy for the first time in 8 months. That's the only optic I care about." He walked away, his hands shaking. But over the next week, the whispers grew louder. Someone wrote a blind item in the local society column. "Which widowed tech titan is getting too comfortable with the help?" A photo appeared online. Vivian and the boys at the playground, laughing. The caption read, "Nanny, or something more." Then the call came from Evergreen Academy, the private preschool where he'd enrolled James, Peter, and Daniel for the summer. The headmistress's voice was apologetic but firm. "Given the recent attention, and considering the sensitivity of our other family's concerns, perhaps it's best if the boys start next semester instead." Felix gripped the phone. You're rejecting my sons because of gossip. We're protecting all our students from unnecessary scrutiny. My children are being punished for having someone who loves them. Mr. Toju, please understand. Felix hung up. His chest felt like it was caving in. Not because of the school, he could find another one, but because he knew what this meant. Vivian would hear about this. She'd see the articles. She'd know she was the reason his sons were being rejected. And she'd leave. He drove home faster than he should have, his mind racing. When he got there, he went straight to Vivian's room in the guest cottage. The door was open. She was packing. Her suitcase lay open on the bed, half filled with clothes. She moved mechanically, folding shirts, placing them inside. Felix stood in the doorway, frozen. "Felix," she said when she turned. Her eyes were red. "I can't stay." "Don't," Felix said. His voice came out rough, almost desperate. Vivian kept folding clothes, her hands trembling. "I have to. Your sons were rejected from school because of me. Because of gossip. Because of people who don't matter. They matter to James, Peter, and Daniel." Her voice cracked. "They are going to grow up hearing whispers. They are going to be punished because I forgot my place." "Your place?" Felix stepped into the room. "Your place is with my sons." Vivian shook her head, tears falling onto the shirt in her hands. "I'm the maid, Felix. That's all I was supposed to be. You stopped being the maid the day my son started laughing again. Then what am I?" She turned to face him, her eyes fierce and broken. "What am I supposed to be to them? To you?" Felix opened his mouth, but the words stuck in his throat. Vivian let out a bitter laugh. "You can't even say it, because the truth is, I'm black. I'm young. I'm staff. And people will always make assumptions. Your sons will pay the price their whole lives if I stay. Let them assume. I don't care what they think." "You should care." Her voice rose. "James, Peter, and Daniel deserve better than being the center of a scandal." "They deserve better than what?" Felix shot back. "Than someone who loves them? Than the only person who made this house feel like home again." The silence between them was electric. Vivian sat down on the edge of the bed, her shoulders dropping. "When Alice died," she whispered, "I promised myself I'd never love another child, because losing her almost killed me." She looked up at him, tears streaming. "But your boys, I couldn't help it. And now I have to leave before loving them destroys me." Felix knelt in front of her, his heart pounding so hard it hurt. "What if you didn't have to leave?" he said. "The scandal. What if I told the truth publicly? What if I made it clear you're not just staff?" Vivian's eyes searched his face. "What truth?" "That you're essential. That my children need you." He stopped, swallowed hard. "That I need you, too." Her breath caught. "Felix." "Not as a maid. Not as a nanny," Felix said. "As someone who understands this grief. Someone who sits in the dark with me when I can't sleep. Someone who brought light back into a house that was dying." "I'm not her," Vivian whispered. "I'll never be Victoria." "I know," Felix said, his voice breaking. "And I'm not asking you to be. I'm just asking you to stay. Because when I think about you leaving, when I think about this house without you in it, I can't breathe." Vivian covered her face with her hands, sobbing. Felix stayed on his knees, waiting, terrified she'd say no. Finally, she looked at him. "If I stay, it can't be like this," Vivian said. "I won't hide. I won't pretend to be less than I am." Felix shook his head. "I don't want you to." "Your world won't accept me," Vivian said quietly. Felix didn't hesitate. "Then my world needs to change." Vivian stared at him for a long moment, something shifting in her eyes. "I'll stay," she said quietly. "But not as your employee. As myself. All of myself. I wouldn't want it any other way." She stood, and he stood with her. For a moment, they just looked at each other, two broken people who'd found something fragile and real in the wreckage. Vivian reached out and unpacked his suitcase. And Felix finally breathed. The following week, after Vivian unpacked his suitcase, something shifted in Felix. He stopped hiding. He had scheduled an interview with the Vanguard newspaper weeks earlier, standard publicity for a new product launch. His PR team prepared talking points on cloud infrastructure and market expansion, topics that avoided anything personal. But when the reporter arrived at his office, Felix had different plans. Nancy Toby sat across from him, recorder running, asking the expected questions. Felix answered them automatically, his mind somewhere else. Then Nancy paused, glancing at her notes. "Mr. Toju, if I may shift gears, there's been some public interest in your personal life lately. Would you care to comment?" His PR director, standing by the door, gave a sharp shake of his head. "Don't engage." Felix ignored him. "What specifically?" he asked. Nancy hesitated. "The speculation about your relationship with your children's caregiver." The old Felix would have said no comment, would have ended the interview right there. But sitting in that chair, he thought about Vivian packing her suitcase, about his sons' faces when they thought she might leave, about James whispering to Victoria's grave that Vivian didn't get sad when they talked about their mother. "Yes," Felix said. "I'd like to comment." Nancy's eyebrows rose. "Vivian Michael is the reason my sons are alive in the ways that matter," Felix said, his voice steady. "After their mother died, they stopped talking, stopped playing, stopped being children. I hired specialists, therapists, tried everything money could buy. Nothing worked. And then, Vivian showed up." He leaned forward slightly. "She didn't try to fix them. She just loved them. She got on her hands and knees and played horse. She read them stories. She sat with them through nightmares. She gave them permission to heal." "Some have suggested the relationship is inappropriate," Nancy said carefully. Felix's jaw tightened. "Some people see a young black woman caring for 3 children and automatically assume something improper. That says more about them than it does about her. So the relationship is strictly professional." Felix paused. This was the moment. "Vivian Michael is family," he said. "She's not their mother. No one could replace Victoria. But she's someone they love, someone they need. And I won't apologize for having her in our lives." He didn't stop there. "Even if it costs opportunities for my sons. Any institution that rejects my children for being loved by someone who doesn't fit their narrow definition of acceptable has no business raising them." The interview went live the next morning. By noon, it had gone viral. Half the internet praised his honesty, his defense against prejudice. The other half tore him apart, accused him of using his privilege, of romanticizing the help, of moving on too quickly. His board called an emergency meeting. Felix walked into the conference room to find 12 faces staring at him with concern. "The optics are problematic," his chief marketing officer began. "I don't care about optics," Felix said. "I care about my family." The chief marketing officer leaned forward. "This could affect stock prices." "Then let them fall," Felix said. "I built this company. I'll run it my way. And I won't compromise my son's happiness for shareholders." The room went silent. That evening, Felix came home to find Vivian in the kitchen, her laptop open, tears on her face. She was watching the interview. "You didn't have to do that," Vivian said, her voice breaking. Felix sat beside her. "Yes, I did. Because every time I stay silent, someone else tells our story, and they get it wrong." Vivian looked at him. "Your board is angry." Felix shrugged slightly. "They'll survive." "You could lose everything," Vivian said. Felix's voice dropped. "I've already lost everything that mattered once. I won't lose it again. Not without a fight." Vivian looked at him, something shifting in her eyes, something that looked like wonder, fear, and gratitude all mixed together. She stood and stepped toward him. Then she did something she'd never done before. She hugged him. Not professionally, not carefully, fully, like someone holding onto a lifeline. And Felix held her back, his eyes closing, feeling less alone than he had since Victoria died. Maybe this was what grace looked like. 2 broken people choosing each other in the wreckage. 6 months passed. The gossip never fully disappeared, but it no longer controlled Felix's life. Some people accepted his choices. Others never did. Felix stopped caring about either group. What mattered was what was happening inside his home. James started speaking in full sentences again. Peter's smile came back. The real one, not the polite one he'd been using since the funeral. Daniel stopped having nightmares every night. They had started calling Vivian Mama Vivian. It had started organically, their own compromise between honoring their mother and loving the woman who had brought them back to life. Felix watched it all, grateful and terrified at the same time, because the truth he'd been avoiding had become impossible to ignore. He was falling in love with her. Not because she'd saved his sons. Not because she'd made his house feel like home again. But because of who she was when no one was watching. The way she hummed while cooking. The way she left books face down on every surface. The way she sat with him in the dark, when neither of them could sleep, not saying anything, just being present. Felix had spent weeks working on something in secret. Something that kept him up at night. Making calls. Reviewing plans. Meeting with architects and lawyers. Tonight, he was finally ready. He found Vivian in the garden with the boys. They were planting flowers, Victoria's favorite peonies. The evening light made everything look golden. "Vivian, can I show you something?" She looked up, dote on her hands, a question in her eyes. He led her to the east wing of the estate, the section that had been closed off since Victoria died. She'd planned to turn it into something, but never got the chance. Felix opened the doors. Inside were blueprints spread across tables, architectural renderings on the walls, documents with official seals. Vivian stepped in slowly, her eyes scanning everything. "What is this?" she whispered. "The Alice and Victoria Foundation," Felix said. "A residential care facility for families with children undergoing cancer treatment. Medical support, grief counseling, play therapy. A place where families can heal together." Vivian's hands flew to her mouth. Her daughter's name. Victoria's name. Together. "You did this." Tears spilled down her face. "I can't build it without you," Felix said quietly. "You know what these families need. You've lived it. This is your calling. But it doesn't have to take you away. It can happen here, with us." He handed her an envelope. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside were legal documents. Co-director of the foundation. Equal partner. And beneath that, guardianship papers. "If anything happens to me," Felix said, his voice rough, "you're their legal guardian. You already are in every way that matters. This just makes it official." Vivian couldn't speak. She just stayed at the papers, tears streaming. "I'm not asking you to replace Victoria," Felix said. "I'm asking you to help me honor her, to turn our grief into something that saves others." Vivian looked up at him, and something passed between them that felt bigger than words. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you do this for me?" Felix stepped closer, his heart pounding. "Because you're not just important to my sons," he said. "You're important to me. And I don't want to imagine a life without you in it." The air between them shifted. Vivian reached out and took his hand. And for the first time since Victoria died, Felix felt something other than grief. He felt hope. 6 months later, the Alice and Victoria Foundation opened its doors. Families came from all over the South. Parents with sick children. Grandparents raising grandchildren. Siblings trying to hold each other together while cancer tore their worlds apart. The East Wing that had been empty for so long was now filled with life. With tears and laughter. With people learning how to survive the unsurvivable. The dedication ceremony was small. Felix had wanted it that way. Just donors, a few reporters, and the families who'd be staying there. He stood at the podium, looking out at the crowd. His prepared speech sat in his pocket, untouched. Instead, he found Vivian standing in the back with James, Peter, and Daniel. They were wearing matching outfits Victoria would have loved. The boys were smiling. Really smiling. Felix cleared his throat. "I built my company by believing in systems," he began. "Data. Control. I thought if I could just understand how things worked, I could solve any problem." He paused, his voice catching. "Then I lost my wife. And I learned that some things can't be solved. Some things can only be survived." The room was silent. I was failing at surviving. My sons were failing with me. We were drowning in a house full of everything except what we needed most. He looked directly at Vivian. Then someone showed up, who taught me that healing doesn't come from fixing. It comes from presence. From staying. From loving people in their mess and not asking them to clean it up first. Vivian's hand covered her mouth, tears streaming. This foundation exists because two women believed that the only response to unbearable loss is unbearable love. My late wife, Victoria, who taught me what it means to give everything, and Vivian Michael, who showed my sons and me that it's possible to live again. He motioned to her. Vivian, would you come up here? She shook her head, but the boys pushed her forward gently. She walked to the stage, trembling. Felix pulled out an envelope. This makes you co-director of this foundation and legal co-guardian of my children. Vivian's knees nearly buckled. Felix. You already are, he said quietly. This just makes it official. James, Peter, and Daniel ran onto the stage, wrapping themselves around her legs. She dropped to her knees, pulling them close, sobbing. The crowd stood and applauded. But Felix barely heard it. He was watching his family. The one grief had destroyed. The one grace had rebuilt. That evening, after everyone left, Felix found them in the garden. The boys were playing, chasing each other around the flowers they'd planted months ago. Vivian sat on Victoria's bench, watching them with a soft smile. Felix joined her and sat down beside her. Thank you, Vivian said quietly. Felix turned to her. For what? Vivian met his eyes. For letting me stay. For fighting for me. For building something beautiful out of all this pain. Felix looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who had walked into his broken life and refused to run from the wreckage. I think God sent you, he said simply. Vivian turned to him, surprised. I was angry at him for a long time, Felix continued. For taking Victoria. For leaving me alone with 3 boys I didn't know how to reach. But then you showed up, and I realized maybe he didn't leave us alone at all. Maybe he just sent help in a way I didn't expect. Fresh tears slid down Vivian's face. Daniel ran over, breathless and laughing. Papa, Mama Vivian, come play with us. Mama Vivian. The name didn't hurt anymore. It felt right. Felix stood and pulled Vivian to her feet. Together, they joined the boys in the grass. And as the sun set over the garden, where everything had changed, Felix understood something he'd been too broken to see before. Love doesn't end when someone dies. It just finds new ways to grow. Victoria had taught him how to love fully. Vivian had taught him how to love again. And his sons, these 3 beautiful boys, had taught him that healing is possible, even when it feels impossible. The house that had once been a graveyard was alive again. Not because the grief was gone, it would never be completely gone, but because they had learned to carry it together. And somehow, in the carrying, they had found each other. Vivian caught his eye and smiled. Not the careful, professional smile from when she first arrived, but a real one, full of hope and belonging. Felix smiled back. And for the first time in over a year, he wasn't just surviving. He was living. Because sometimes, when everything falls apart, God puts the pieces back together in ways you never imagined. Not to erase what was lost, but to show you that love is bigger than grief. That presence is more powerful than perfection. And that family isn't just who you're born to. It's who stays when the world goes dark. It's who brings the light. The end. Thanks for watching. If you loved this story, please turn on your notification bell, subscribe, like, and share. We have many more beautiful stories you won't want to miss.